first object which saluted my eyes when I arrived on the coast was the sea and a slave ship, waiting for its cargo. When I was carried on board, I was immediately handled and tossed up to see if I was sound by some of the crew.
We took on board 664 slaves. We might have stowed away 800. If she'd been going to the Brazils, we should have taken that number. We would carry 750 with ease. The boys and women we kept in the upper deck, but all the strong men, those giant Africans that might make us trouble, we put them below on the slave deck.
I was soon put down under the decks. With the loathsomeness of the stench and crying together, I became so sick and low that I was not able to eat, nor had I the least desire to taste anything. Two of the white men offered me eatables, and on my refusing to eat, one of them held me fast by the hands and tied my feet, while the other flogged me severely.
We have to be very strict at first for a week or so to make them feel that we are the masters.
Amongst the poor chained men, I found some of my own nation. I inquired of them what was to be done with us. They gave me to understand that we were to be carried to these white people's country to work for them. The closeness of the place, added to the number on the ship, which was so crowded that each had scarcely room to turn himself, almost suffocated us.
At night, they lie down upon the deck on their sides, body to body. There would not be room enough for all to lie upon their backs. I lost a good many the last cruise, more than ever before. Sometimes we find them dead when we go below in the morning. Then we throw them overboard. My brig cost $13,000 to fit her out completely. My last cargo was worth $220,000.
Brothers and sisters were bid off first, one by one, while my mother, paralyzed by grief, held me by the hand. Her turn came and she was bought by Isaac Riley of Montgomery County. And I was offered to the assembled purchasers. I must have been then between 5 and 6 years old.
I've been driving hammer from my shoulder all day long. All day long, I've been driving the hammer from my shoulder. All day long, all day long. Come on, man, come on. Lord, I believe the birds shining. Tell the truth.
I was born a slave on a plantation in Franklin County, Virginia. I'm not quite sure of the exact place or exact date of my birth. I was born in a typical log cabin, about 14 by 16 feet square. The cabin was not only our living place, but was also used as the kitchen for the plantation. My mother was the plantation cook. The cabin was without glass windows. It had only openings on the side which let in the light and also the cold, chilly air of winter. My mother had little time in which to give attention to the training of our children during the day. She snatched a few moments for our care in the early morning before our work began, and at night after the day's work was done. One of my earliest recollections is that of my mother cooking chicken late at night and awakening the children for the purpose of feeding them. I cannot remember having slept in a bed. When a new hand is sent for the first time into the field, he is whipped up smartly and made for that day to pick as fast as he can possibly. At night it is weighed so that his capability in cotton picking is known. An ordinary day's work is 200 pounds. A slave who is accustomed to pigging is punished if he or she brings in less quantity than that. The hands are required to be in the cotton field as soon as it is light in the morning. And with the exception of 10 or 15 minutes, which is given them at noon to swallow their allowance of cold bacon, they are not permitted to be a moment idle until it is too dark to see. The day's work over in the fields, the baskets are carried to the gin house where the cotton is weighed. This done, the labor of the day is not yet ended by any means. Each one must then attend to his respective chores. One feeds the mules, another the pigs, another cuts the wood, and so forth.
Water boy, water boy, water boy, water boy, water on the wheel, how does the sunshine, better I feel, little water Tommy, little water boy, little water Tommy, little water boy, little water boy.
I know Denmark busy. On one occasion he asked me, what news? I told him, none. He replied, we are free, but the white people here won't let us be so. And the only way is to raise up and fight the whites. I went to his house one night. Veezy told me he was a leader in this plot. Veezy induced me to join. At this meeting, Veezy said we were to take the guardhouse and the magazines to get arms, that we ought to rise up against the whites to get our liberties. Brethren, arise! Arise! Strike for your lives and liberties! You had far better all die immediately than live slaves. If you would be free in this generation, here's your only hope. Now is the day and the hour. I am not terrified by the gallows which I see staring me in the face, and upon which I am soon to stand and suffer death for doing what George Washington was made a hero for doing. Washington entered the field to fight for the freedom of the American people, not for the white man alone, but for both black and white. The blood of black men flowed as freely as that of white. It was a sense of the wrongs which we have suffered that prompted Captain Brown and his associates to attempt to give freedom to a small number. I fully believe that not only myself, but also all three of my poor comrades who are to ascend the same scaffold, a scaffold already made sacred to the cause of freedom by the death of that great champion of human freedom, Captain John Brown, are prepared to meet our God.